Anil, let's get away. Let's get underway. So, just before we share your screen, Anil, I just wanted to give a quick intro to everyone. So, thanks everyone for joining this week. This, as you can see into the title of our 4-day weekly event, the WordPress Publisher Success Week. We're here to celebrate everything around WordPress. For many publishers, WordPress is the most commonly used CMS, and as such, we are here to help you, particularly in 2024, to uncover strategies, whether it's monetization, automation, AI, to improving workflows. We're here to give you all those tips from very experienced leaders and help you to take off most of making actions today. So with that, I wanted to thank you again as well. This event's been sponsored by Multidots, a leading WordPress enterprise agency that have helped some of the largest publishing brands in the world. Anil is the CEO of Multidots, in addition to their family of other brands, which I'll let them to explain a little bit more during the presentation. But Anil's going to be giving you the big picture of WordPress. There's a lot of fundamental changes that is happening this year, and as that's happening, there's going to be some very big fundamental shifts in how you need to approach your publishing and way of working. Uh, with that, Anil, thank you, and I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Brian. All right, I'll go ahead and share my screen on this end. I can get this started. One second. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And as Vi mentioned, that we are going to talk more about what is coming up in WordPress in 2020, not just in 2024, but in general, what is in the short term and near term future. What are some exciting and new things that's shaping up in WordPress as a platform? And we'll also cover some of the opportunities and trends as well. So today's talk is designed specifically for the publishers as well as people who are building and developing things in WordPress. And as per my understanding, majority of the folks today are in these two categories. So we'll start kind of like looking into a little bit of the evolution of WordPress. So WordPress is almost like 21-year-old CMS. And at the beginning in 2004, 2005, in the beginning phase of the WordPress, it was primarily designed for small and medium businesses or hobby bloggers. They were using WordPress to create content and publish. But in the last 20 years, a lot has changed. Now WordPress is actually evolved into a big enterprise CMS. So a lot of enterprise brands, you might have heard or might not have heard, but NASA, Spotify, White House, like there are so many big organizations, brands, they all use WordPress as their content management system. So there has been a lot of growth and changes in WordPress. And today we will talk about what are the more new changes coming in. And it's sometimes it also feels like an iOS, so I always wonder that we have iOS 14 and 15. So what new Apple is going to build next in their iOS version. But in WordPress, good thing is that we don't have to guess it, because WordPress is pretty much like a community driven project. So a lot of roadmaps, big features, changes, they are already published and announced. So we can prepare ourselves well in advance. And before I officially kind of like start sharing some of those details about the changes, I wanted to kind of like also share a little bit about the current state of the WordPress. So WordPress is super powerful CMS. You know, if you look at that, like 35% of top 10,000 websites are built on WordPress, and not only that, but somewhere around 82 billion websites are worldwide are on WordPress. So it's massive WordPress, massive CMS. And on the other note, um, all of those people who are tuning in today, you know, you are using WordPress or are planning to use WordPress, and so that's something that kind of like what all of connects all of us together in here. And for a project this big, you know, size of this big project, it also actually doesn't move that fast because there are a lot of people who are using it for a different set of use cases. So the changes happens in incremental, and so we're going to talk about some of those changes as well here. And one thing that this is specifically important for those who are maybe already connected with the WordPress or not that much connected with the WordPress, but in 2017, Matt Mullenweg, the co-founder of the WordPress, he mentioned about the 4 phases of Gutenberg slash WordPress. When I say Gutenberg, it's a content editor, in new editor in WordPress. So they both are the same thing. But yeah, there are like 4 big phases that they announced, and we are going to talk some of the features that actually already are built, and that is something that can be a trend and opportunity for a lot of us who build or publish with WordPress. And we will also talk about some of the phases which are right now in the development, and coming up in the next feature, so we can prepare ourselves. All right, before we go deeper into the discussion, I wanted to kind of like share a couple of things that why I am talking about this today specifically on this topic. So I've been involved in WordPress for 18 plus years. So I started building WordPress website as soon as I think WordPress was very pretty new CMS. Uh, in last 15 years, through all the businesses we have built somewhere around 500 plus WordPress websites. And uh, I have a multi-million dollar business that I'm running on WordPress, you know, so it's my job and responsibility to make sure that I learn what's going on in WordPress and what's coming up new in the WordPress. And most importantly, we also offer enterprise consulting services to large enterprises and big brands around the world. So we stay connected and involved in the development of WordPress so that we can bring in that learning and knowledge and share with our customers, plus also enhance our businesses. A lot of our team members internally, they are all, not all, but a lot of them are involved in the WordPress contribution and some of the future phases. So with all that being said, you know, I'm very excited and have been very involved in last decade in the WordPress evolution, and that's where I have a lot of exciting things that I wanted to share with you today. All right, so we'll start with a few small stuff. So this is the one thing that's coming up right around the corner. So I think in the March release, you know, there is this font library that WordPress is going to introduce, specifically those who write and publish with WordPress. You might have experienced that when it comes to fonts, right? There are like they have the typography, but then if you want to install a custom font, or if you want to use more custom and advanced fonts, it's a little bit tedious and difficult to set it up on a WordPress website. So WordPress is making it a little bit easier for all of us, which means that now you can actually, without any coding or extra steps, we can set up a new fonts. We can install Google Fonts. Google Fonts is also coming right off the box. So it's very easy to actually select a couple of Google Fonts and start using them. So this is a pretty neat feature that usually in the past publishers need to ask the development team to customize it or install it through the code. but all of that is going to be much more easier and convenient and right from the editor. So that's the one thing that's coming in within a few weeks of time. So something to look for. The big change that's coming up is on team collaboration. So those who are publishing with WordPress, probably you know that there are pretty much a lot of different content creation applications out there, like Canva, Google Docs, Notion, which has this team collaboration component built in, which means multiple users um, simultaneously can edit and collaborate into a document or an article or a post. Unfortunately, WordPress doesn't have this, and that is something that was planned in one of those four phases of the WordPress. So phase three, which team has already started working on in 2023. Most likely it will be end of 2024 or somewhere in 2025, but that's something that is going to be very important for a lot of people who publish with publish using the WordPress. And there are a couple of these are the challenges, and especially you might have experience if you see the screen. A lot of time when someone else trying to edit a post, you will see a message that somebody is already trying to edit and they need to get out of the post, so you can continue editing and updating it and leaving a comment, and a couple of other like very essential collaboration feature that we experience in most of the modern content creation app. It doesn't exist in WordPress at this moment. So with that being said, in next future WordPress, maybe next few years, in phase 3 of the Gutenberg, collaboration is one of the big thing that WordPress core team is working on. And these are some very initial concepts, so we still have to wait and see what all will be in the WordPress. But these are some concepts that we can see that how the future of the WordPress editor will look like. So one feature that I'm particularly very excited about is real-time collaboration. So here, if you can see here, like WordPress evolved from just a content editor to more like in a design platform, design interface. So yeah, multiple user can actually see their pointers where they are editing in the content. You can interact with some of the users and easily share the post with someone to invite and collaborate with. So this is I think one of the big feature that we can expect in the next few years as part of the phase 3. Now, along with the real-time collaboration, workflow is another thing that right now a lot of publishers who use WordPress, when it comes to uh, publishing the content, there are a lot of different team members who are actually involved, and each publisher, especially the publisher who are large or enterprise, they have custom workflows. So when somebody create a content, someone else reviewing it, accepting those changes. Sometimes content go through multiple like legal team and design team and like multiple different teams for their approval and the feedback. And a lot of time, there are certain level of custom permissions that's also required on the piece of content. So uh, WordPress is also working on turning the WordPress post more like into workflow. So these are some of the things that they have already announced, that we can see inline commenting in blog, sharing draft links for feedback. So this is where, without inviting, without creating a WordPress user account for someone, maybe a freelancer or someone who's working in your team, but necessarily you don't want to create a WordPress user account for them. So that will become much easier to share the draft links for the feedback and multi-author support. And this is something which is, I think, one was a big ask from a lot of publishers, that now we have observed that content creation and publishing doesn't happen in silos. There are a lot of people who are involved into that, and we also want to give credit to multiple people who created and contributed the content. So for that purpose, that WordPress you will be able to actually assign multiple different authors uh, to a post, and on the front end side, when your readers are reading the website, the content, they will be able to see who all actually collaborated on the content. So that's kind of like something that was also right now missing, and we can expect that coming up in the future. Now, also wanted to bring in one of the product that our team has built. It's called Multicollab, and some of the features that we talked about: real-time collaboration, workflows, uh, ability to do inline commenting, and a bunch of other things that's related to real-time collaboration. So our team had built it because, as I mentioned, 3 or 4 years ago, a lot of publishers who in our enterprise in Multidots, where we were providing, we're helping them with their WordPress websites and optimizing their workflow. They have been asking about the collaboration. So we built a tool which does all of that. That is going to, some of them is going to come up in the future releases of the WordPress. But those who are interested and want to experience and use the real-time collaboration right now, and doesn't want to wait for 2-3 years or whatever, however long it will take for WordPress to build it, you can use it right now. And with Multicollab, we will share the link for this at the end. But I also wanted to quickly highlight some of the features that I think are super important. Let me make sure that the screen, all right, yeah, you're seeing the right screen. So these are some of the features that when it comes to a team collaboration in WordPress, or publishing with a collaborative editing, these are some of the features that a lot of publisher needs and will be a part of the collaboration. So real-time collaboration, where multiple user can edit in a real time. Inline commenting, this is where you might have observed in Google Docs, where when you turn a document into editing mode, then any changes becomes an edit. So then it is much more easier to provide the feedback and approve some of the changes. So this is also a very key feature for designing a more efficient workflows. So this is one of the features that we have built in our tool. Team collaboration, so ability to with @ you can actually mention someone in your team or outside your team, and they will get a notification, email or Slack notification. Guest collaboration that we talked about, that review the link, sharing the draft with someone for the feedback. So these are some of the features that will be a part of WordPress, future of the WordPress. But if you want to try it right now, you can use it, and we'll include the demo link for the demo, as well as accessing these features. All right, next, I also want to talk about the revision history. So if you have noticed that the content and page WordPress history, revision history specifically, it's not good. Like it looks like very 90s version of that. And with revision history, it needed actually a big revamp. So right now, it's very hard to kind of like see the previous version of the content if you want to kind of like roll back to some of the changes. It's not that user friendly. And fortunately, in the next feature releases, WordPress core team is building and revamping the whole revision history and making it a little bit more intuitive and better. So I'll play a video here so you can actually have a sneak peek at how what are the big changes coming up in the revisions. I'll fast forward a little bit here. So this is what, that if you see here, that like right now, this will be something that you can expect is a new changes in the revisions, where you will have much better timestamp and the revision history. And also, when you click on any of those revisions, you will be able to see those changes, content changes, right in the content as well. So yeah, so that's I think it's quite big, especially if you're publishing a lot of different content that enable to see the content revision history in a more visual form, like what are the changes that somebody has done already in the past, and ability to roll back to the some of the old version of the content. All right, next up is media library. So all the different media assets right now in WordPress, it's messy, so when it comes to, and this is something where we as a Multidots, we have been helping a lot of our clients to kind of like improve the overall media library, because when it comes to uploading the images or media assets for your post and the pages, um, it's not easy. There is no any simple way to kind of like filter and tag those media files. So in the next version, they are redesigning the entire media library, and it will look actually much better, but also it will be much more efficient. So ability to attach bulk attach media files, and this is something that some of the large publishers has been asking for this feature for a long time, in order to upload a bulk files for related to different post media, and tagging and filtering, categorizations, and most importantly, image editing. So now you will be able to see much better control and more options to edit an image within the media library. So especially if you are publishing content with a lot of graphics and photos and media assets, I think this will save a tons of time and will be a great experience. And another big change that's coming up is admin redesign. So admin is the WordPress admin specifically right now. If you look into that, um, it is good, but it's still, I think, 20 years ago, whatever the interface that was just tweaked a little bit. But this time we can expect a completely redesigned admin, and that actually looks really good, and I'm very excited about it. So I'll also play this video quickly here so you can have a sneak peek at what will it look like. So one thing you see on the side, it looks much modern and clean interface. But another thing that I'm very excited about is one second. I have the multiple screens here. All right, there you go. This is the one I wanted to show you. So if you click on a WooCommerce, then like right now, lot of us, when we use WordPress, we have the standard side navigation bar, but also we use bunch of different tools and plugins, right? And each plugin also has their own complex navigation system. So with this, it will make much more easier, because if you are using WooCommerce or any other plugin, then clicking on that will take you to a much cleaner admin interface, where you can actually navigate all those menus related to that particular plugin and even go further down in that. So I think interface for the admin overall, you will see a much better and efficient. All right, and then this is another feature that is one of my favorite feature, and I can't wait for this to try it when it's come out. But those who are more like a pro users, you might have observed that Mac has this spotlight, where when you press command space, or there are some keyboard shortcuts, you see the spotlight where you can type in any app's name, or sometimes it's command, like you can do some math operation, a bunch of different things that you can do. But it actually is much more efficient, instead of clicking on 5 different folders and finding the file that you're looking for. With this command line interface, not a command line, but like Spotlight search, where you can just type in any app's name, it automatically fills in, and you can see those results right there and take those actions. Now, this interface is actually becoming much more popular and integrated in a lot of different apps. So Notion has this, and a lot of other apps that I've been using. Mac has this, where you can actually type in something, some commands, and automatically it will pull some of the files or the apps or the data that you are looking for. So this is also something that has been announced, that in the future version of the WordPress, you will be able to see this in the backend, which I think will save a lot of time, because then easily you can find, for example, you're looking for a particular setting that you want to turn on or off in your WordPress backend. If you're looking for specific post that you want to edit, if you want to see some analytics or the metrics related to a post, a lot of those things, without figuring out or thinking about where that is, you can just start typing in through this slash command interface, and you will be able to do a lot of those things. So this will improve the efficiency and the speed. And so this is something that yeah, I'm very much excited about. All right, now we will also talk about a little bit about what are some of the trends in the WordPress. So what we have covered so far, these are some of these big changes that we can expect in the WordPress. And starting from the collaboration, a lot of changes in the admin side, but everything is designed to enhance the experience for the people who publish a lot of content with the WordPress. And as I mentioned, the evolution from small and medium businesses to WordPress becoming more um, as a content creation platform for enterprise, that is something that where you will expect a lot of those and features that a lot of applications that we use in day-to-day basis now will be available in the WordPress soon. So now let's talk about look into some of the strengths that uh, are important and that coming up. And this is something that we are also suggesting it to our customers. So when we work with enterprises, we try to bring in this experience and some of these features for them, and educate them and consult them how to use that. So in the recent State of the Word, Matt Mullenweg, he announced about the data liberation. So this is something that I would say is an opportunity for both publishers as well as people who build websites in WordPress. So what is data liberation? It's more like an easier way for us to move the data from WordPress website to some other website or other CMS to WordPress CMS. And so here you can see that migrating the data, all the assets, or everything from CMS to CMS, uh, WordPress is trying to make it more easier for both developer as well as the publishers. And with that being said, like, in the future, right now, I think the one big reason a lot of people who want to switch to WordPress, sometimes the entire process takes a long time, the cost and time is high. But with this data liberation initiative, we will be able to see the migrating to WordPress, or if you don't like WordPress and if you want to utilize your website to somewhere else, it will become much more easier. So this is something that uh, we should look into that. And here are a few case studies that I also wanted to share specifically, because when it comes to migrating to WordPress from other CMS, it's right now is very complicated. So we actually published a very detailed guide on that on our website, and how you can actually it looks like from all the way to process to cost and all of that. So I just want to, we'll have this link as well. So if someone is already right now in the process of moving their website from other CMS to WordPress, some of these guides will be very helpful. And we also have published some of the case studies where we helped, I think, some of the large enterprises with 10, 50, or 100 plus websites moving from WordPress, other CMS to WordPress. So we have also documented some of our experiences and learning there. So data liberation will definitely in the future is something that you can look forward to. But at this moment, you can also look into some of the guides that we have published. Another trend that uh, is around the headless WordPress. So I'm sure you might have heard this word a lot, and so I'll give you a little bit overview about what is headless WordPress, and we will also talk a little bit about why this matters. So when it comes to WordPress, like historically, WordPress was where you have a backend, like WordPress backend admin, where you create content, and then you have a front end where you the content that we write on the backend, it will show up on the front end. Now with the headless WordPress, it actually creates a lot of interesting use cases where we can use WordPress either for backend or for the front end. So here is a one use case. So let's say in a headless WordPress setup, if you want to use WordPress as more like a front end, which means your team is creating content somewhere else. It's not in WordPress, somewhere else. So platform like Contently, and there are a bunch of different tools where you can actually create content, collaborate with your team, and then that content will be published into WordPress website. So this is a one use case where the headless website setup is done. And here is an example of the how we built this, implemented this setup for one of our customers. So Sneaker News, a few years ago, what they wanted to do, they wanted to maintain a central repository of their sneakers, and then what we did from that, and that was built in some custom tool, and those sneaker repository with REST APIs, we were actually pushing it to multiple different application platforms. So this is a WordPress website. This is a WordPress website. There are 4 WordPress website, and then there were 2 mobile app that data was going. So this is where you can see the application of headless WordPress and how it provides you a different way to kind of like use it. This is a case where we are using WordPress more like as a actually backend. It's a typo. All right, so it's a typo. It should be backend, but WordPress has a backend. So what happens is, let's say here we use WordPress to write and create content, but when it comes to that final content, that is being published to different places. So here, using the headless WordPress setup, we implemented this for one of this client where the WordPress admin, all the content creator team, they actually write, they love the WordPress backend interface to create the content, but then that content is being actually pushed to mobile app and some other interfaces, not necessarily on the front end WordPress website. So this is also a trend and opportunity that gives you much more freedom and flexibility how you want to design and write content and publish content. And this is full site editing. This was introduced 2 years ago in beginning of 2022, and this is something that it's still getting better. So it's not 100% right now where we can say that it's done. There is still a lot of work is happening, but it has a very interesting use case. So those who have used the page builders or landing pages, so sometimes if you just want to create a quick landing page for one of your ad campaign, or you want to create a landing page for lead generation, uh, with this full site editing, that is actually become, because right now, not right now, but so far I don't see any particular, it was not easier to do this in WordPress. And that's where a lot of content creation team and marketing team, they would be relying on the page builder tools and landing page builder tools like Insta Pages, uh, and stuff like that. So with this, you can actually run a lot of different page builders, different landing pages that you can build using the full site editing. So that's the one use case for the marketing team. For the development team, especially the people who build website with WordPress, this actually gives a much more better interface to create page templates. So from header, footer, navigation, all of that we can control from one screen. Earlier we have to go into like multiple different places to kind of like configure the whole page, but with full site editing that becomes much more easier for the developer. So which means that you will be, especially the developers and designer, where your overall time to create a landing page or a time to create layouts and templates for your client's website, that will actually reduce a lot of time and dependency. So that's something that I think uh, everyone should leverage that. All right. We're talking about trends, and especially at this time where 2024, everyone is playing with AI. So I couldn't hold myself not including few slides related to AI. So I think we have a separate discussion on AI in the next few days, but I'll just touch upon some of those tools, that some of those ways where our customers are asking, and for integrating AI in a WordPress website. So one use case is, before that, so there are, if you go to WordPress repository right now, you will find over 200 AI plugins. So WordPress is very, very much like going on the train of AI, and yeah, so there are a lot of developments, cool developments are happening in WordPress and AI. One use case specifically for the writers that I think is when it comes to writing content in WordPress, where instead of ChatGPT or other AI tools where we create content or optimize or edit the content and copy and paste into WordPress, there are some tools where you don't need to actually go to ChatGPT, but within the WordPress backend, we can use the AI to create and optimize content. And Jetpack, they released this AI tool where you can actually do that. So that's something that I would recommend, that someone who wants to just try it out, that how creating content in WordPress using AI looks like. So this is where you will have that a tool that you can experience. And I put it here as well, that if you actually, let me just quickly play here, and so we can see that in action. So yeah, that's what it looks like if you want to use AI in order to create content and optimize that. There are pretty much all the different tools related to creating the content within the WordPress backend that you can imagine, or trying using with the ChatGPT or combination of other sort of AI tools. I think you can utilize that with Jetpack's AI assistant, and so that will be super cool to try it out. Second, I'm sure this is something that you might have also experienced, that some of your team members, but AI chatbots. So this is also a trend that we have seen some of our existing customers who have 20, 30, or 40 websites. They reached out to us and asking us to build chatbots for their website. There are multiple different use cases. One is lead generation. So on your website, let's say with the AI, we can actually create a platform where create a chatbot, introduce a chatbot where you can generate different leads and collect their email addresses. Customer support is also another use case where you already have a content, like if you are publishing with WordPress, you have tons of content, and you can train an AI engine for that content and offer a Q&A chatbot on your website where they can easily find the content that they're looking for, or if they have any support questions or things like that, you can train an AI tool and model for your product and your business, and that will actually save tons of time in customer support response and attendance and lead conversion as well, because then if you have much more tailored the Q&A on your chatbot on your website, then it also helps to convert, because then people visitors on your website, they will get the answers to their questions very quickly, and yeah, they will be able to make decisions faster. So AI chatbots in WordPress is also, if you go to WordPress plugin directory, you will find a bunch of different plugins, but this is something that we have seen is trending, and our customers are already started inquiring and about implementing some of the chatbots for their website. All right, so that's all I want to share, some of those highlights on what are those new changes that's coming up in WordPress, some of the trends and opportunities for publishers as well as the developers. As Vahe mentioned, that we have 3 different businesses: Multidots, where we do more enterprise level WordPress website design and development, and more specifically the migration. And we also have 2 other brands, Multicollab, which I mentioned you earlier, that is a Google Doc style editorial collaboration and workflow solution in WordPress that you can try right now. And Dot Store is another brand where we build WooCommerce based plugin. This is a QR code for my LinkedIn. If anyone wants to connect there, feel free to take a photo of this. And I think we're going to share all the slides later on, but Vahe or my team can also share some of the link here. Yeah, they already mentioned it here on the chat, that some of the stuff that we talked about, I already put them here as a resource, so you can actually access that. But more specifically, if you're interested in collaboration, trying collaboration in WordPress, then you can actually try it right now. You get it a demo, as well as utilize check out some of the collaboration features that is going to be part of the WordPress in the future. With Multicollab, you can experience them and use them right now. So with that being said, yeah, that's all I wanted to share today. Vahe, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, can you guys hear me? Um, Anil, thank you so much for the presentation. Very, very great, very fun, but like very clear and to the point in terms of what people can expect in applications. And as Saida mentioned in the chat, we will be sharing all the summary of learnings with attendees and the slides. So do be on the lookout for that, everyone. So please, everyone, if you can attendees, please feel free to leave your questions on the chat. But just to get things kicked off, I'll ask a few questions and we'll wait for everyone else to also add to theirs. So I think that the key thing in what I've also heard from my end, and I think one thing is clear is that WordPress is making their ecosystem much larger. It's making it a lot more accessible external integrations. In addition, besides the internal contributors that are making WordPress great as it is, what do you see I guess where plugins will sit in WordPress in the future, and how all these interactive features are being built by WordPress themselves and by its contributors?
Yeah. No, that's a good question, and this is something that we have also observed, that in last 20 years, some of the big plugins or integration that usually you needed like a separate plugin for that, you can see that as a part of the WordPress default installation, right? So you don't need like a plugin. So the way I see it is that as WordPress is becoming bigger and a lot of different people are using WordPress for different use cases, integrating the WordPress with the other apps, that becomes important. So when it comes to integration, that yeah, there are plugins that you will need for that, and there are more and more plugins that you can find that are people are building. But most importantly, I would say, um, when it comes to plugin ecosystem in WordPress, within the WordPress, there are two types of user. One is more uh, like just vanilla, plain vanilla, setup, that whatever they have, they're simple, they want to use it, don't want to customize it. So those are the folks that are not necessarily interested in plugins or integration. But on the other side, there are pro users and the enterprises, uh, for whom the default WordPress is not enough. So there are a lot of things that they need to do or want to do, which the default WordPress will not provide it, and that is where the WordPress plugin ecosystem will actually come and add values there.
So yeah, you still think that there's a lot of scope there, and do you think that, in your opinion, WordPress headless is helping to make that in between balance to help those pro users to be able to integrate better? Do you think that's where the rise of headless is coming about, or how do you see that sort of contributing to the next phase of WordPress?
Yeah, I think, yeah, they have to maintain the balance, because WordPress is used, like 42% of the internet is powered by WordPress, right? And all that 42% of the web, they don't use all the features that WordPress, like other plugin provide, right? So if they will try to put everything into the default, then it will actually affect the performance, security, and a lot of other, and it will make the WordPress complex. I think one thing that why WordPress is so popular compared to other CMS is, it's very simple for the developer to build something on WordPress, but also it's a simple and easy to publish content for the writers and publisher in the backend. And if you try to put so many features and too many things into the WordPress backend, it will make complex, and then it will lose the unique advantage that WordPress has. So yeah, you're right. I think they have to do some sort of balance so that they offer the essential features, but for all the advanced feature, you need to either use a plugin or customize it.
Thank you, Anil, for answering this question so far.
Hmm.
Jan has a question. He's asking, how do you see WordPress multi-site feature moving forward in this year and next year?
WordPress multi-site, I don't think so that there are any, based on my understanding, in the next roadmap, there is not much actually changes that's coming up on the WordPress multi-site. Multilingual, as a part of the four phases of Gutenberg, multilingual is something that's going to be the big focus in the future. But I don't have any data or any comment I have seen anywhere within the WordPress community talking about the multi-site. Um, and also, I think multi-site in general, they already have the foundation ready. So yeah, I'm also curious to see what publishers specifically are looking for in a multi-site setup.
Yeah, maybe I can add to that. Like
Mhm.
the publishers that I've seen using multi-site, they have multiple media properties. They want to have it all into one area. Do you think that, based on anecdotal or your customer experience, that adoption to needing to manage that kind of um, housekeeping and, sorry, lack of word, manage their properties, do you think that that's still the most effective way to go? Does that slow down the site speed? Do they need to create separate installs? What do you think that should be the best approach to managing multiple media property brands?
Um, Yeah, I think multi-site specifically is definitely a great use case if you have multiple media properties and multiple websites, because then it kind of like gives that one central place where you can configure all the plugins and themes. So yeah, I think pretty much I would say 70-80% of our customer that we work with, we actually set up multi-site for them. If they have even more than, let's say, 2 or 3 website, yeah, we do a lot of them on multi-site.
Okay. Thank you so much. We've got a question from Madhav. Do you have any case studies where WordPress has been used as the backend to a POS system?
WordPress is used as a backend for.
POS system, a point of sales, I guess, system.
No, I don't have a use case, but I think it should be. I mean, I'm sure WooCommerce specifically, they have been doing a lot of development in regards to making e-commerce experience within the WordPress more uh, powerful for the enterprise e-commerce. And so yeah, so I don't have an idea, but I'm sure if I have to guess, I would say WooCommerce would be doing something along those lines.
Appreciate that. Anil, with a lot of the roadmap changes that are coming about, let's say uh, current attendees on the event today, they might have heavily customized things to do in a certain way. And now that WordPress is releasing these features, that's going to require them to sort of maybe readjust their approach or having to even potentially rebuild the website. What are the steps that they can take to sort of prepare ahead for this type of change, roadmap changes? Because they do seem a bit fundamental, even particularly like, for example, WordPress collaboration, uh, the editing and stuff. That's people might have particular checklist plugins that might have that you're relying on yours maybe to look at SEO for optimization and so forth. What do you suggest the practical steps they can take to really get ahead of this?
Um, Couple of things I would say. Like one, especially for the collaboration, they announced it in 2023 that they are working on it, but it's a massive technical problem. So it will take at least a couple of years where it will be something that you can start using it or seeing it. But I would say, yeah, I think WordPress.org, they have a good website and blog where they continue to announce about the different roadmap and all. That's the one place where people should subscribe and stay connected with what's going on in the WordPress. But in general, I think we have seen this because WordPress is such a massive community project. Any new change that comes up, that usually there is like 6 months to a year cooling period where we need to observe how that's shaping up. And in my opinion, I think the best way would be uh, try it on a staging site, not to try on a live website, and also try to use as a plugin if possible, so that you can turn it off if something is not working, or it's more like a plug and play experience, and that's where I would again highlight multi-collab comes into the picture, where it doesn't actually adds into your WordPress website. It's something that if you need it, you can install it, so that it doesn't actually adds extra code and affects the performance and all that. So I would suggest something along those lines, where experiment with some of the new features when they release, and then try it on a staging or production environment.
Thanks for that. And just to be 100%, just wanted to make sure I understood correctly. Did you say that typically for the roadmap, that when something's launched, that they give a 6 month testing period to then sort of make that a core feature within WordPress, or you sort of seeing that with bugs and stuff after the 6 month period? That's when people see most adoption in the new updates. So how do I just want to make sure that our attendees today also plan like how much time they should give themselves when something's rolled out to make that change happen.
Yeah. So it's the second. So yeah, once the feature is available, usually it takes like 6 months for the mass adaptation. Like Gutenberg, when it come out, I think took 1 year before a lot of serious website businesses, they started kind of like using the Gutenberg as an editor. But yeah, so I think it's like the time that any new big feature comes in, I think it's better to use that as a plugin first and see how it works, if that's something that fits into the use case. And also, as I mentioned in the beginning, that the good thing about the WordPress community is that it's more like a public, so it's not like Apple or iPhone where you don't know what's the next version upgrade you will see. So there, yeah, you will have basically a very good preview of that well in advance, like 2-3 year in advance, where you can see what are some of those big features are coming in. So yeah, knowing about it and kind of like start seeing that if that fits into the strategy, because yeah, we need to keep in mind that WordPress, one use case is the enterprises and large publishers, but then the other use case is very small publishers and hobby bloggers, right? So we need to really see that what are those features that actually affects you, because collaboration, in my opinion, will not affect a lot of small, will not be something that small bloggers and they will be using much. And from that perspective, it is not actually something that will be a big, but for publisher it might be a big one.
Awesome. And we've got one time for one more question. I just want to ask a bit more of a technical advanced question. So the sneaker news example that you shared,
Mm-hmm.
now that looked a little bit complex in that you had created that repository and then it's sort of connected with the REST APIs with each other. Now, if a site is going from a stage where they've grown and gotten a lot of traffic and then they have multiple properties and they want to switch to that approach to be able to be more agnostic, be a lot more sort of scalable.
Mm-hmm.
What should they do to be able to switch to that? I guess maybe the obvious answer might be is to reach out to you guys, but how do you think they can sort of make that switch? Because I think that there might be some cases, even when they're moving from a CMS as well to another CMS, you start thinking about these things, and maybe that can make that happen.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I think, yeah, you're right. Like the first step is to um, understand whether do you really need a headless WordPress, because that's like not each different business case is ideal for the headless WordPress. Because when you try to do headless WordPress setup, whether it's a sneaker news example that I shared or the other app example that I shared, it it actually is a little bit complex. It's not easier to kind of like build start creating a headless setup, right? To build it's complex, so that's why I think the first step is to talk to someone who is already an expert or have done this multiple different times. So in this case, like we also offer an hour free consulting discovery for anyone who is interested into just finding whether the use case or the requirements that they have, whether that will be a good fit for headless or multi-site or a normal WordPress website, right? So we kind of like start there. But yeah, I think it if let's say where you are creating a content and where you are publishing the content, right, they both are a different interface, you know and second is a completely different platform, right? I think that's kind of where I see the use case of the headless WordPress more.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. And with that, Anil and everyone, we're on time. So what I'd like to do, I would like to thank Anil today for giving us a very positive tone and start with the WordPress week and Success Week. So as we mentioned as well, if you do have any questions following this session, everyone, please feel free to email. We'll provide the contact details. We will be sharing the summary of this as well. And please do join us on the next following days. Tomorrow is going to be AI and automation, followed by workflow and performance and so forth. So please feel free to join us. And once again, thanks everyone for today. Until next time. Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone for joining.